Hi, welcome to our first of three series on nutrition education with our registered dietitian, Sally. And today, Sally, I'll let you introduce yourself. So today is April 1st, and Sally's going to talk about
GERD.
GERD. On May 6th, it'll be healthy eating for older adults, and on June 3rd, it'll be eating for bone health. I'll let you take it away, Sally.
Sounds great. So thanks for the invitation. And Erin, nice to see you. Joan, I hope you can see and hear me. And welcome. So I'm Sally Ayotte, and I'm a registered dietitian. And I work with a variety of area agencies on aging to help folks of the older set eat right. I look at menus and I provide nutrition education. So today, I thought we'd talk about GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease. And I get a lot of requests to talk about this because it can be a problem for folks, and not everyone understands it, and not everyone knows they have it. And so, after today's presentation, perhaps it might lead you to ask a few more questions of your medical provider and see how you're feeling, right? So acid reflux is something that a lot of people are familiar with. And it's simply when acid from the stomach moves back up into the esophagus, right? And that can be uncomfortable. It leads to heartburn, right? And so that's one of the symptoms of reflux and GERD, and we'll get to the difference between the two in just a minute. But it can feel like a burning sensation. There's pain, there's tightness in the chest. It's actually not uncommon for folks to mistake GERD for a heart attack. Because of that pain and that tightness. About 60 million Americans experience heartburn at least once a month. So it's pretty common occurrence. And so when we look at GERD, so that gastroesophageal reflux disease, it's actually when chronic acid reflux happens, and it happens frequently, right? So more than a couple times a week. And when you look at the pictures of the two stomachs there, it's as simple as that muscle, that sphincter at the top of your stomach doesn't close all the way. And that allows the acid from your stomach to go back up into your esophagus. Your esophagus has very delicate, tender tissue, different than your stomach lining, because your stomach lining is built to manage the acid, but your esophagus is not. So if a little acid gets up there, it becomes very painful. And so here are some of the symptoms. Again, heartburn, that acid indigestion. Sometimes it can be a burning sensation in the throat and in the chest. It's wheezing, sometimes coughing, sometimes a dry cough, sometimes difficulty breathing. And of course, those are symptoms associated with a variety of things. So sometimes people don't always associate those with GERD. People sometimes have difficulty swallowing, therefore eating properly. There can be a sour or bitter taste in the mouth. Again, that's the acid that's coming back up. There can be a fair amount of belching, right? Uncomfortable. Feels like there's a lot of air in your tummy that is trying to get out. Sometimes it's a lot of saliva in your mouth, and there can also be tooth erosion. Again, that's from the acid that gets into your mouth and starts to eat away at the enamel of your teeth. It can sometimes feel like a sore throat or maybe a lump in your throat. So all kinds of things, that actually might be up here a little bit more, but initiated from the acid that's in your stomach. And so how common is it in our country? Well, approximately 40% of the US population reports symptoms of GERD, so pretty prevalent. And 10 to 20% of patients that actually have GERD experience the symptoms daily, right? So that's discomfort. And it's all around food, right? We love to eat and we need to eat. And so, we want to learn a little bit more and manage it to the best of our ability. And again, just remember those symptoms, the heartburn, regurgitation or vomiting, right? Just very uncomfortable. So some lifestyle tips that can help you manage GERD if you do have it. Um, Exercising 3 to 4 times a week, helping you to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. That's one of the first things that can be helpful to manage GERD. Wearing comfortable and loose fitting clothing. Don't wear clothes that are tight and constricting around your midsection, because that can make it worse, right? That's going to provide, it's going to give pressure on your stomach, and that's going to add to what might be pushing some of that acid back up. If you smoke, please stop smoking. That's one of the things that is not helpful for GERD. One of the easy ones, I like this one, is raising the head of your bed. And I've seen anywhere from like 4 to 6, 6 to 9 inches, but just get the head of the bed up high. And that doesn't mean stacking pillows underneath your person. That doesn't give you quite the right angle, but actually putting some 4x8 pieces of wood underneath the head of your bed, or they make pillows. Actually, they make foam wedges, I should say, that you put underneath your mattress, and that props it up enough so that you let gravity help you out. That's what we're looking for in some of these lifestyle changes. Gravity just helps to keep the food down where it belongs and keep the acid down where it belongs, because that muscle, that sphincter, isn't working quite the way it should. Another great recommendation, sometimes this is hard for folks, but waiting 2 to 3 hours after you eat before you lie down. And also, don't eat lying down. Please eat sitting up, right? And eat at a table. Make it a relaxing experience. Take your time, right? Enjoy your meals, and eat a number of small meals throughout the course of the day, rather than 2 large meals. I know some folks get into the habit of, they just have kind of a late breakfast and they have an early dinner and that's it. But really, if you spread your meals out throughout the course of the day, you have smaller amounts of food in your stomach that have to be managed and get into your intestines, so that they don't cause the discomfort of the food trying to come back up, or the acid coming back up. So some foods that can be helpful. Oatmeal, I love that it's listed first. It's high in fiber, right? And so what are some other high fiber foods? Fruits, vegetables, things that they help you feel full. And when you feel full, you tend to eat a little bit less. In that same vein of feeling full, eating a little bit less, the previous slide, I talked about taking your time when you eat. It takes about 15 minutes for your stomach and your brain to communicate that you're full. And so take your time, get that feeling of fullness with less food, and then move along throughout your day. Some foods that lower acid foods can help to neutralize the acid in your stomach. And so things like bananas, melons, cauliflower, nuts. And you're going to see a couple of these things. On the next slide, you're going to say, wait, she just said nuts were helpful. And then the next slide, you're going to be like, Sal. So remember, we are all snowflakes, right? So we all react to everything a little bit differently. So keep that in mind as we move forward. So salad greens, cucumbers, celery, watermelon, these foods, the thing they have in common is that they're all high in water, and that helps to dilute that acid in your stomach. So either low-fat milk, low-fat yogurt, those things can act as a buffer and sort of protect your esophagus and your stomach by coating it and not letting the acid move around so much or come back up. And ginger tea or other anti-inflammatory foods can help decrease the inflammation around that sphincter and help it work more normally. In addition to, ginger is great for helping to decrease nausea. And so some foods that are not recommended. So peppermint and spearmint. And I know sometimes we think, wait, I thought peppermint tea was good for my tummy. It might be in some circumstances, but not with GERD. It's a stimulant. Same with the chocolate, alcohol, caffeine. Those are all stimulants. Those things are going to make us less comfortable. Even decaf coffee and decaf black tea, right? They still have enough caffeine that they can cause discomfort. Spicy foods, hot sauces, peppers, things like that, those things have been known to cause discomfort. And fruits and vegetables, so there's a variety of fruits and vegetables that may or may not cause discomfort. Citrus, definitely some of the things that can. So orange, lemon, lime, grapefruit, those are known to cause discomfort in most people. Tomato products, same thing, they cause discomfort in many people. So one of the things you might consider doing is keeping a food log, right? Just write down what you eat throughout the course of the day. How do you feel? And then if you feel some discomfort, you can look back maybe earlier in the day or the day before and see, well, what did I eat that made me uncomfortable? Oh, right. I had some V8 juice that made me uncomfortable. So keeping a food log can be very handy, especially if you have some discomfort, you can't quite figure it out. What are the foods? Just keep a log for a couple of days or a week, and then try to pinpoint what are some of the things that seem like they cause you some discomfort. So some of the other foods that have been known to cause discomfort, and I sort of put these all in one slide because they're the high fat foods, right? Not only are these the things that sometimes add extra calories, but they can really cause discomfort. The fat relaxes that muscle at the top of your stomach. So that sphincter muscle is relaxed by high fat. So that's why we say try to avoid that, because when that muscle gets relaxed, that's when the acid comes back up. So 2% milk or whole cream or all those things, high fat dairy products can cause discomfort. Fried meats, some of the classic breakfast meats, right? Bacon and sausage, those things are typically pretty high in fat, so they can cause discomfort. Other processed meats like pepperoni, salami, bologna, mortadella, those kinds of things, they're delicious. But they're high in fat. Same with hot dogs, right? High in fat. So if you can eliminate them or keep them to a minimum, you're going to help yourself be more comfortable. And truly any fried foods, right? Donuts, French fries, French toast, mozzarella sticks, zucchini sticks, all the fun stuff that you get out at the restaurant, right? Those, they cause a lot of discomfort. So try to eat, fresh fruits and vegetables, salads, things like that. That's it's good for our overall health, especially in including GERD. So nuts and nut butter, right? I said that nuts on the last slide, I said, no, 2 slides ago, I said nuts were helpful, and this one, not helpful. Key to life, moderation, right? A small amount of nuts in the palm of your hand, a thin amount of nut butter on a piece of toast. Those are going to be much more well tolerated than a can of Planters while you're watching, the movie, or the super thick peanut butter on your toast. Because wait, your dietitian did say peanut butter was good for some things. They are. It is, right? It's a great source of protein. It's a healthy fat, but it's still a fat. And if you have GERD, it could make you uncomfortable. Other things like pastries and high fat desserts, croissants, etc., right? Those things high in fat, boy, they can make you uncomfortable. And same, when you keep that food log, think about writing down how many teaspoons or tablespoons of different types of oil do you get throughout the day. Count the oil in the frying pan with your eggs, count the oil in the frying pan with your stir-fried veggies, but count it and see where you are. If you have more than 8 tablespoons of any type of oil, that is something that can make you uncomfortable, right? And I do always say oil over butter or margarine, because the oil typically comes from a plant, so it's a little bit healthier than the solid fat that typically comes from an animal. Saturated fat, not so healthy, right? So there's kind of a lot of things to think about, but the idea is to just start to pay attention. Look at the foods that have been identified to cause discomfort. Look at the foods that can make you more comfortable. Try to make a few changes in your diet. Talk to your doctor. I haven't even talked about any of the medications, but that's a good discussion to have with your physician. What would be appropriate? What might be helpful? Things like that. There's all kinds of crazy stuff on the internet. I say, please talk to your doctor, right? Because they've studied this. and they have some information for you that's based in science on how to help you feel as comfortable as possible. And so now I'd like to open up to questions. I do want to say thank you. And I put some of the references here. There's also references on the bottom of some of the slides, but can I answer any questions for you, Joan or Aaron, about GERD and symptoms and things that you eat that you're unsure of?
I do have a question. Can you hear me?
I can, Joan, thanks.
Okay. My husband had an endoscopy done this past week, and they said his esophagus was very inflamed, and he's been taking these over-the-counter meds, of course. But they say there's also a hernia situation in there. Can you explain how that's all related? Basically, you know.
I can. Yep. And they're real close to each other. So the esophagus, again, is that muscle at the bottom, or the sphincter at the bottom of your esophagus that leads into your stomach is where GERD usually happens. And the hernia happens when part of the stomach might sort of protrude up through the muscle that is separating part of your chest, right? So it's pushing up where it's not supposed to be. And so, he will likely find that the foods that we talked about may make him, the ones not to eat may make him uncomfortable. The ones to eat may improve his comfort level. And, as I said, doctor's orders, please always follow those, right? Because they'll let you know which are the over-counter medications that are acceptable, which ones are not. And I have to say, one of the notes about some of the medications is they can be helpful, but used in excess, they can actually cause more problems. So even if it's an over-the-counter medication, check in with the doc and see what they have to say about it so that he takes the correct amount. And then, hernia, I don't know what else they're prescribing after, some of the medications. Have they made any other recommendations for him?
No, he just had it this week, and he's not scheduled for a follow-up for another 2 or 3 weeks. So we're kind of in limbo.
Mm-hmm. So some of the things that he might find that really help with the comfort are the smaller meals throughout the course of the day. So maybe instead of 2 or 3 meals, break it into 5 or 6 small meals. So there's just a small amount of food, and gravity is helping that. Again, stay sitting up or standing up, or don't lie down until at least 2 to 3 hours after a meal. Those things would likely, and loose fitting clothes. That's often really helpful with folks that have a hernia.
Okay. One other question, and not to go extreme here and getting scared or anything, but what relationship is there for a tendency toward cancer in the esophagus when one has been prone to this problem?
That's a great question for your doctor or the oncologist.
Okay.
Yeah. What else, Joan? Anything else I can help you with?
No, he needs to lose weight. He sits in his recliner when he eats. All the things you've talked about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So like Aaron said early on, we're going to, this is recorded. Feel free to show it to him while he's sitting in his recliner.
Very good.
Tell him we want him to feel better. And getting up and going for a walk is a great way to help him feel better.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you, Sally. I will record this, and we'll see you next month for our next Nutrition Net series.
That sounds great. Aaron, thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.